Okay, so welcome. We've got a few people online today. We've got a few people here in the office as well. But this is another peer-to-peer training. So the idea is to have people within the network already to train each other, talk about the background, talk about the personal challenges that people have had and how they've overcome them. Because I said this morning, everyone's got personal problems, man. And that's not the thing. The thing is, how do you overcome these personal problems to achieve success? So we've actually got two people today. So we've got Heidi Pearson and then Orane Swan. Orane Swan is probably going to jump on around 1 o'clock-ish, but I'm going to allow Heidi to talk about herself. Heidi is very, very young, but I think given her age, she's right? So, given her age, she's achieved quite a bit, given such a young age. So pass the platform over to Heidi, and then Heidi,
great, amazing.
Talk about yourself, your background, and then what you've done and what you're going to do in the future, that kind of stuff.
Perfect. Well, I'm super new to Oxford, super new to Brisbane actually. I'm from Evans Head, small town in Byron Bay. Grew up down there. My parents never really had any kind of money. We grew up going from rental to rental, not knowing where we were going to live. So being young with three sisters, kind of stressful. Growing up, I worked really hard in high school and saved a little bit of money behind me. I was working a few jobs, 3 the whole time. And then I got into the bank as soon as I finished. So then I was actually planning on going overseas on a trip with all my money. COVID struck. So, can't do that plan. Instead, I jumped into my own house. I was going to buy my own house at first, but there was a new estate right around the corner from where I lived. So I decided to build. Super exciting. So I purchased my land when I was 18 in April when COVID was just happening, just brewing. And from there, I kind of had to build my borrowing capacity so that the bank would lend to me so I could build what I wanted to on my block. Easier said than done for someone who was like fresh out of school trying to build their borrowing capacity. Obviously not very cheap. When I bought a really cheap block that was sloped, bushfire rating was high. I knew there was lots of obstacles. So what I had to do was work 3 jobs. So I worked at the bank, delivered pizza at night, was a personal trainer in the morning, pharmacy on the weekend sometimes, to try and build that borrowing capacity. So any of my part-time jobs, I'd have to be there for like 6 months for the bank to count it in the circumstances I was in. So did that for 6 months. Finally, my borrowing capacity got where I wanted it to. I was going around to all the project home builders in my area to see who could build what I wanted for my budget. Being very tricky. Got laughed out of the room quite a few times, being so young. But hey, we got there. The build commenced in October. And then on it's once I finally got it through council, my development application approved, I was able to start in February. So this year my build has just been one thing after another, but we've been getting there. When May rolled around, I was just absolutely sick of the area I've lived in my whole life. I mean, I was planning on traveling to start off with. So I put my hand out for a job within the bank in Brisbane to try and, take a leap. I kind of freaked out when the lengthy process of them hiring took too long, and thought, what else can I do if I really want to move? What do I want to do? What I'm interested in? I obviously building my own house myself, very interested in property. So I jumped straight into my full license, Queensland full license. I ended up getting the job. So I moved up here and didn't really need it, but thought I would just keep studying anyway, considering I jumped into it. Since then, finished my full license and want to jump into the property market. So I'm super excited. My house has been recently finished. I've got tenants in there. Super exciting. Couldn't do handover because of COVID, but hey, what can you do? So yeah, now future plans, just try and get into real estate and see where it takes me. Super exciting. Woo!
Hey, so obviously, I guess today's session is a bit of a contrast. So, so you've just started your real estate career, and how did you get that finance in the first, because someone's 18
Yeah.
to be building a house and to have a portfolio by the age of, I think 3x3, you said?
3 by 23, yeah.
3 by
That's the
23.
goal.
3 by 23, so one a year, right? A lot of people even buying a property is very, very difficult for a lot of people. But yeah, at the age of 18, you bought your first property and you're gonna have three in 2.
Hopefully.
Yeah, how did you get your first property? Tell us about the journey.
So I had enough borrowing capacity for my land, quite cheap land. And then I spoke with my lender because I worked in the bank. It was a little bit easier to kind of have the conversation. And she pretty much said, if you don't get your borrowing capacity to this much, like, then you can't do it. Well, I kind of scoped around and realized how much I needed minimum. So yeah, for 6 months with my casual jobs, working, when I wasn't working at the bank, I was working at my pizza place. When I wasn't doing that, I was doing personal training in the morning, just to try and get that up. After the 6-month mark finished and it was good, I dropped work back a fair bit because I didn't really need it. But yeah.
Wow. Okay. And how did you get the loan? Did you approach the bank directly or through a broker?
Yeah. So I approached the bank because I worked there, and then when that looked a bit bleak, I went to a broker, and then I just stuck with the bank because I could do it.
Okay. And did they take all your? Because obviously we have a lot of people, I think, doing finance. Right. How did you get the income? Was it just your full-time income?
Well, I was actually on part-time at the bank because it was only 9 till 4, the opening hours.
Okay.
So that was only considered part-time. So that was counted. But then anything like in addition to that was casual, I'd have to work 6 months for it to be counted.
Okay.
So after I did my 3 other jobs, I had enough.
Wow. So you had 4 jobs. Right,
yeah, but my
total.
PT was half of it was self-employed.
Okay, so you had a self-employment plus 3 jobs.
Yep.
And then with that, you had to prove your income to the bank. Right?
2 weeks of pay slips. So it was 2 weeks. So
2 weeks of pay slips, but it's got to be at least 6 months.
Well, for casual, I'd have to be working for that same job for 6 months at least.
Okay, so
that's stability.
That's kind of the first learning thing. It's got to be a casual job at least for 6 months, 2 pay slips.
Yeah.
Right.
To have it counted.
So
then if you're in part-time or full-time, it has to be, pretty sure they require like 4 pay slips.
Yeah.
For that to be counted. So my bank one was fine. I just had to work the others up.
Yeah, right. That's amazing. That's astronomical because most young people don't even think about buying houses. That's amazing. And what about building? Why build? Why not buy an existing property?
Because my valuations come back at 200K more than I built it for now. The potential for it to grow so much better.
Yeah, that's another lesson too, right? By building, you kind of release more equity.
Definitely, I'm seeing that now.
Yeah.
Stoked when I got my val back.
Yeah. And what did you build? How did you choose the builder? All that kind of stuff. Tell us about the journey.
I went to Dixon Homes first. I knew they were cheap.
Yeah.
And the guy literally laughed me out of the room, which was a bit of a
wow.
I honestly felt like crying after that. So I went there and said, this is my budget, this is what I want to do. And he was like, all he was finding were ways for me not to do it. He's like, your bushfire rating, the slope in your block, your borrowing capacity. I'm like, you're not finding any solutions, you're just finding my problems. So after that, I went up and looked at Stroud, Metricon, everything like that. I feel like I know every project home builder inside out now. So I know what they include, what they don't include, what they do on a slope. So I got a
that's okay. Sorry.
I got a plan from one of the builders that I really liked. For reasons I couldn't continue with them. They actually didn't reply to me forever. So I kind of took the plans and I got them like readjusted so they weren't the same plans. And they were different. And that's what I had my heart set on. So I took that around and see what anyone could do. So I could do it for me. Sign the contract.
Fantastic. Yeah. And how was that process? Obviously, we know Dixon, we know Stroud, we know Metricon, we know these builders. What was the process like?
Yeah, good. It was pretty smooth once I found the right builder. The whole reason I went with them was communication. Like them getting back to me in comparison to what I had with the previous one. So much better. So I jumped straight in, signed the contract. The fun part was colors and whatnot. But yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, and now you're sitting on equity.
Fun.
Yeah, so that's really, really good. I mean, obviously now with equity, you can draw the equity out and buy another property. That's
Yeah.
what people do. So you don't have to sell.
6-month goal.
6-month goal, and at the age of 19, for God's sake, right? Which is
20 now.
20, sorry,
I'm
20.
getting old.
But three properties.
Oh, you got 3.
No, yeah.
Going to have 3. Okay?
Soon
So
to be.
one at 18, another one coming. So the 3x3 is a pretty amazing goal. And now with this under your belt, where's the property again? Sorry,
I think in Elba, so half an hour from Byron Bay. Down in New
Bay.
South Wales, couldn't do handover, but hey.
Yeah, but that is amazing. And how did you get that deposit together? It was just hard work and.
Well, I worked
jobs.
throughout school.
Yeah.
And I was saving for overseas, and then I only had like 15K coming out of school, but it was all saved, and that's pretty much what propelled me into it. And then I had to save for my construction deposit as well. So me having to get my borrowing capacity up went hand in hand with that.
Right. So you had 2 contracts. You had the land contract and then the.
Well, yeah, I had
contract
my
with
land loan first, and then
Yeah.
when I got approved for the second one, finance went through and they got combined into a new loan,
the- Okay.
which is, yeah, not a construction loan as of yesterday.
Fantastic. Well done.
Fully drawn.
So tell us how that works. Construction loan versus land, and how does that work?
It depends how the lender kind of
Yeah.
does the application, if they want to do them separately and combine at the end, or if they combine at the start. So obviously interest only repayments for the duration,
Yeah.
which is a little bit easier on my finances as well,
That's right.
considering it was just being built and I still had to pay rent in Brisbane.
That's right.
And so now it's done. I actually just called the bank earlier.
Yeah.
Really funny being on the receiving end, but I do every day. They're like, yes,
Perfect.
better interest rates,
Yeah.
and yeah, so should be going good.
That's right. The interest rates come down. And you're a first time home buyer, correct?
Yes.
Tell us
yeah.
how that worked with your bill. That's quite
so
rare, actually.
What I was going to do
Yeah.
was live in it for the first 6 months. The job
Yeah.
that I've got in Brizzy allows me to work from home.
Yeah.
It was all up in the air, and then with this COVID thing, I really don't want to go home.
No,
I'm going to chuck me into real estate for 6 months, and then I'll probably have to do the next 6 to avoid deliver the
Yeah.
grant requirements.
That's one of the requirements of the first.
That's
time
why I
buyer.
need these next 6 months while it's in the real estate
Yeah.
to get new lending, because otherwise my borrowing capacity will be diminished when I get into the property. So I've only got 6 months,
Yeah.
and I'm deciding whether I do something really cheap and small, like in the coast somewhere, because that's always
Yeah.
going to grow.
Yeah.
But I'd love to do another build.
Phenomenal. That is an amazing story at such a young age, because not many people
On your
actually.
own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
need her.
Hey.
We have Orane here as well, which obviously is on the other spectrum. She's very experienced. She's got a lot more properties. But before we go into Orane, is there any questions online? We have quite a few people online today. Are there any questions from anyone for Heidi about anything at all? The finance side, with a few brokers I see, the real estate side.
I've never done Zoom before. It's new to
My
me.
first time too, don't worry.
Are there any questions for Heidi? Because obviously Heidi is I think pretty exceptional given such a young age. She's already got a career, a whole plan set out, and I think the idea is obviously to build a property portfolio, you said to me.
Yeah.
And that is freaking amazing. I think was it 80% of Australians have only one property, right? And I think 97% have one investment property. And then like 0.001%, so like very, very small, have more than 5 properties, right? And that is incredible. Most people do not even invest in properties, which I think is ridiculous, right, Rain? Because the equity you're sitting on,
Yep.
They pay for themselves.
pays
and
for
then-
themselves. The easiest thing, don't even do flips, don't even do development, just buy and sit on the damn thing.
Mm.
In
I
30
mean-
years,
And don't sell.
don't sell.
Ever.
That's not too good for
I
real
just
estate
lost
agents.
$1 million by selling.
Okay, that's not
Okay,
good.
great warning.
Don't sell. But that's the trick, right? To make money in real estate, it's not that freaking hard, right? If you can get into market, and I think first home buyers, what, 5% deposit? That's what you
Yeah.
say? 5% deposit, 6 month
Foot in the
requirements to
door.
live in. Yeah, foot in the door. And was it an easy process?
Yeah, well, it went through my lender, so pretty easy,
I
pretty
think there's
simple.
only 20 something lenders that can do that at the moment.
Oh,
All the
okay.
major banks, yeah. Not every lender can do first home buyers. But certainly if you're a first home buyer, and I think that even there's no age limit to that. You could be 40 and be a first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
As
If
long
you-
as haven't bought a
If you
place.
haven't bought a place, and I think I checked on this, as long as I think trust is disqualified because they can see your name on trust.
Mm.
But as long as you haven't purchased a property in this country, and it doesn't matter if you've got 25 properties overseas, whatever, that's still okay. And that's a good thing. So obviously, with 5% down,
Yeah.
that's brilliant.
Well, that's how I got in the door.
That's brilliant.
And then
Yeah.
30-year loan, it'll be paid from 50. Woo!
Yeah, and that property will be worth, I don't know how much in 30 years, but
My rental yield is
huge.
ridiculous.
What's your rental yield? Just out of curiosity.
I've got it on the market for 680. My tenants are paying 3 months in advance.
Wow.
My mortgage payments are a lot less than that.
Of course, yeah, the current interest rate. So you're only 20, you're landlord already.
Yay! Stressful though.
amazing. Yeah.
Like the hardest part, I thought the hard part was doing it, getting off the ground, but the hard part was having this finished home that I couldn't see, draining my bank account with, like, I didn't know what to do because I was meant to live in it.
Yeah.
So then I had to organize the real estate. I actually got charged by Stroud for not signing the handover for 7 days.
Wow.
It's quite a bit of a fine. I'm calling them after this. It's ridiculous.
Stroudsbury big though. Stroudsbury massive.
But like
Yeah.
COVID was the reason I
Yeah.
couldn't get down to do handover. You'd think there'd be some kind of circumstances. I was
Yeah.
very dissatisfied with that experience.
Yeah.
After everything.
Was it a fixed price contract?
Well, in my contract, there was interest of about $18 a day, but you'd think considering the circumstances, and it was only, the delay was minimal. Like, come on, man.
But the builders are actually suffering. A lot of builders haven't fixed their prices. So the building materials come up by like 30%, 50%, 60%. And obviously problems coming out of the country, shipping stuff here. It's caused a lot of builders problems.
Yeah.
So you're actually quite lucky you've got that fixed price contract.
Yeah, it was good. I got it right at the right time.
Yeah.
Contact him.
Perfect.
Contact him.
Do we have any other
Thank you.
questions for Heidi before we move on? Anyone on Zoom about anything at all?
New.
It's quite a few people. You can ask anything, by the way. Just shout.
So they can actually speak to us.
Yeah, they can. Everyone can
This is
hear
my
us.
first day at school.
Technology.
You're gonna take the podium. That's like gonna rank. But yeah, look, I think that's a really good session with Heidi. Given that she's so young and again full license.
Wow.
You've got a full
Well
license.
done.
I've got to say.
It's coming
She's coming with
to
a, she'll show, you'll understand what she explains, what she's
Yeah.
done, like you.
I think
I
at such a young age, you get a full license, just because obviously, we have a lot of people in the company. I would have to say,
No.
to be getting a full license, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I jumped straight into it, and when I want to do something, I do something.
Perfect.
Simple.
Yeah, perfect. Most people, I guarantee, most people that go into real estate just do the certificate because they're not too sure or the cost
I wasn't
is
too
too
sure, but
high.
like, if you're going to put a gamble on something you're
Do
not too
it.
sure about, go all the way.
Yeah, and you've done a good job with that because the license laws have changed.
I know,
Before
right in
September.
time. Yeah.
Because it's changed. Every
Finished it
single state,
August 31st.
Yeah.
What do you mean it's changed?
As of the 1st of September.
every single state's harder and harder now to get
Queensland's
a
the last state.
license.
To get a license?
Now you
To
need
have
experience. You need
experience,
someone to
2
sign
years,
off.
I think.
2 years
Right.
experience to
Like
sign off.
personal
Is
training.
Queensland the last state that finally toughen up?
Yeah. So Queensland's done it. New South Wales is probably the hardest at the moment. It's 3 years in total to get the class 1, which I think is
Just-
just a long time.
I'm glad I came. I've just got someone.
Same
It's my
jacket.
first day
Same-
today. I'm looking for someone.
You should- It's related or something, same
They
jacket.
sort of look the same.
Yeah.
You guys should work together, right? Very similar
She's
background.
fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm
But-
fun too.
He's my personal assistant.
Yeah.
Today.
Great.
Okay. Are there any
She hates
Are there any
it.
questions from anyone at all?
Hey, Paul,
Yeah.
I think I've missed a couple of minutes of what she said, but anyway, I will ask one question to her.
Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, so Heidi, before you jumped into the real estate, did you have training or knowledge regarding real estate, or how did you jump? Like, did you take the risk or did you have the confidence? Please.
Yeah, I actually have no experience in real estate whatsoever, apart from like building. So I worked at the bank and I didn't know long term, like what else would I want to do? So I just kind of took a leap, did my full license, and now I need to work on the experience side of things. And that's why I'm here.
Okay.
Wow.
You can always work on experience. Got the qualifications behind me, so we'll get there.
And now with a full license, you can pretty much do what you want. But I guess the idea is to quit that full-time job and go into real estate and do something.
Yeah, well,
different.
eventually.
Perfect.
I mean, I'm not going to be silly with my risks, but when the
Yeah, I get it. I get it. But development,
now.
but $200,000 equity is crazy.
yeah,
Just
keen.
ridiculous in 6 months.
I know. I mean,
Just ridiculous.
perfect time in the market though.
Yeah, a lot of people struggle to make 200K, but you've done it on other people's money.
If I sold it.
Using it to his money, make money.
Yeah, so if you consider your rate of return, it's actually about 5%, which is your initial investment, and your exit is now worth so much more.
I know. I'm stoked.
And that's the power of leverage, right? That's why borrowing money is a great thing.
Yeah, debt's
Great
not
thing.
that bad.
It's not that bad. It's
Secure debt. Secure debt.
That's amazing. That's amazing. 5% now gets you 200K. That is freaking
Not bad.
That's freaking great. Any other questions that we have for Heidi? Anything? So maybe more for the younger people. Just this Heidi has done a really good job being so young and being so determined. So that's really rare to see. You know, I see we've got a lot of people that got interviews. And I have to say, man, young people these days should be more like you. Should be more like you, determined, full license, get out there, do the developments. Very impressed. And yet you didn't go to uni, right? You didn't go to uni.
No.
You actually said no, thank you.
I always
to
thought I
uni.
was going to go to uni.
That's right.
Was actually enrolled in a degree of biomedical science and pharmacy. So
Yeah. I mean, a uni. I mean, look, you know, you can do uni anytime. You can do part-time correspondence, whatever these days.
very expensive if you don't know which one to do at a young age.
Correct. A lot of people, we have a lot of people that change careers, do something, and they, you know, find it's not for them, and they waste all their
Jumping into
time,
HEX
effort.
day 4 years of their life, and then
HEX's indexed, man. It goes with CPI, right? Mortgage isn't, right? The mortgage stays the same. It's not indexed. It's not increased by 3% a year, whereas your HEX is. It goes up every single freaking year.
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't have
Actually,
one.
it's more than, I think it's CPI plus a number. I can't remember exactly, but mortgage isn't. And that's the beauty of mortgage, right? A 200,000 mortgage is always gonna be 200,000. A 200,000 HEX debt next year will be 200,000 plus 3%.
Wow. I know.
And that's another thing about property and development and investing, right? You know, invest early, don't sell.
Yeah, don't sell.
Okay, any other questions? Otherwise we're gonna jump to Orane.
Yeah, just quickly, I was gonna ask Heidi, how did you pick the area that, sorry, how did you pick the area that you bought into?
So living around the area, I knew most of the northern rivers. Would have obviously loved something close to the coast, but with my budget, that was impossible. So this is pretty much the closest to the coast I could get. And Lismore is the biggest part of the northern rivers, like base hospital, university. It's like 5 minutes from the uni, 5 minutes from the closest hospital, and then like 20 minutes from the coast. So.
And it was just a recent area that was just developing land, or it was just?
Yeah, so it was an estate in the area, like
What's
it was
the
stage
suburb?
one.
Sorry, what's the
In
suburb?
Elaba,
Which one?
G-O-O-N.
Oh, I know Janelle, but what's the ladies last week was there.
Oh, really?
The top agent, yeah.
Ah.
Stage one's a good price.
No, there it is.
Where?
Yeah.
You would have got a good price at stage one.
Sorry,
Oh,
sorry,
yeah,
Chris. Sorry,
stage
Chris. Cut
one.
you off. I just wanted to show people what that is. Yeah,
This
sorry, Chris.
started,
Yeah, no, that's good, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Minimize this. But Canada, is that near Byron Bay?
it's about, so it's 20 minutes from Ballina, and then it's like
Oh yeah. I can see it.
35 minutes
That's,
from
well, this
Byron.
here it's all very expensive now.
Yeah, crazy.
Ballina, Byron Bay,
Nothing
Lennox
under a
Heads,
mil.
it's all.
What they buying land or a coin?
Yeah,
Coin.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, definitely.
Col-
It's very steep, isn't it? The land's very. That's why I say.
Yeah. And even in Lennox, like their Epic estate, they had so many people interested that they like literally had to put the numbers into a bucket and pull them out. And if that's the block you got,
House and land's nuts these days. Yeah, that's why they sell so
crazy
quickly.
expensive.
So quickly. But the property market's here to stay. I don't think it's gonna crash or anything. It's the new norm, man. You know, and we have to get used to it. It's great for us as agents and brokers.
Can't complain.
Can't complain. But yeah, that's truly very inspirational. Yeah, I wish I had, man, your tenacity at the age of 20, Jeez, man. Well, they was a
Good on you.
freaking party in college and
Done
drinking
well.
beer and
Oh, I was 35.
Dating
Still
crazy
haven't
people.
made my first home yet, so well done. Far out, this one.
that's it,
Jump
yeah.
into it.
First term ASAP, 5% down.
Shut
That's all you
up,
need.
it's all the generation.
We feel a bit ashamed of the whole
I
thing.
know.
Oh, God. Anyway, it's all good.
Anyway.
It's all good. It's all good. Any other questions? Otherwise. No
That's all for me. Congratulations.
Yeah,
by the way.
no, it's good. It's good that we're happy for you. Obviously now with real estate, full license, you can do all the stuff. House and land, I think, is a good thing for you as well.
Yeah.
Because you've done it before. Most agents don't understand house and land building contracts. They do not.
It's confusing.
Guarantee they
It
don't.
is confusing.
Yeah, no one does. But yeah, you've done it from experience. It's good. Good on you. Good on you. Thank you, Heidi. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Very good. Clap. All right. Maybe we could change seats.
Yeah, switch.
Yeah, so do a switcheroo.
I'm glad I came here to meet this lovely lady. Last time I met this lovely man who's been working with me.
Yeah. But
I'll be back.
we have Orane, Swan.
Swan.
Orane, he has a truly inspirational story. Tough, right? Some parts is very tough. I was like, man, this is a tearjerker. But I'll let you tell that story. But you've done it. You've done it. You have a real property portfolio. Some of these properties are freaking amazing, right? Paddington,
15 million.
15 million. I mean, we wouldn't talk about numbers. There's a lot of, well, I mean, obviously you've done very
And
well.
I've just lost a lot too.
No, we won't talk about that. But you've done very well. You've done very well, obviously. Great property developer. So maybe, yeah, tell us your story. Let me just get the thing back up with the.
All day?
Yeah.
No, I'll just be quick.
No, we don't want you to be quick. We
Succinct.
want you to
the point.
to tell us all your stories and what you've done and stuff like that. So take it away. Take it away. Yeah.
Hi, my name's Orane Swan, and I was born on a small island called Mauritius. It's a little third world country. And when I grew up, I saw a lot of poor people on the street. And I had a dream, even then, the age of 6, 7, that one day I wanted to be rich, because I saw all these old people dying, begging. So my mindset about making money didn't start later on in life. It started at a very early age. At the age of 11, I moved to Australia with my family. I have 8 children. I learned the meaning of multiple streams of income from my dad, because he had 8 kids. So he had to do this, that, and the other. So that's what I started doing. I went to school. I worked all the time. I worked Saturdays. I worked at night in a wine bar. I saved and saved and saved. But at the age of 21, I bought my first house in Sydney. Now, I had a choice between choosing, I don't know if anybody knows Sydney, I had a choice between buying an old duplex in Balmain or buying a 1/4 of an acre in Western Pendle Hill. And guess what I did? I chose the big block of land at Pendle Hill.
Why is that?
Because I wanted to have a family and a dog, and I didn't understand real estate then.
Yeah.
And man, if I just bought that place,
Yeah.
things would have been different.
Yeah.
Then I got married and I moved to Brisbane. I've had a passion for property all my life, and I don't know where it came from, but I just knew that I loved property. So I got married, had a house. We moved to Brisbane and we bought in the wrong area at Salisbury. I had enough money. My first house cost $25,000.
Yeah.
And I remembered people used to say to me, one day houses are going to be worth $1 million. I said, you got to be joking.
Mhm.
And that's how it happened. So basically, this is what happened. During my marriage, I had 3 houses by the time I was 26 years old. My husband was really anti-debt, didn't want to buy houses, and I'm about having as much debt as I can. Okay, so we separated, we divorced, and I was left with only a block of land at the time that we divorced. By the time he took some, I took some, paid all the debt. So I had this block of land at Tenamera, which again was a bad thing. It was right, Raj knows, it's right next to a big power line. So when he left me, I built this house. I went to the bank. They wouldn't give me any money because I was a single mum, 4 kids. I went to 10 banks. Nope. Then I met a broker who worked for me, and he probably lied for me. I don't know. Who knows? And he got me my first loan at St. George Bank, which that was back in 1992. I built my first house by myself, own a builder, and I still don't have a final on that house. I want to sell it, but I need to get my final. I didn't know what I was doing. I was 35 years old with 4 kids. All I knew is I wanted to put a roof over their heads, and I built this house, and I got a builder. No knowledge, nothing, no Robert Kiyosaki, no books, no mentors, no nothing, because this is a while back. So I had the willingness to do it, just like you. If you want something, do it, and it's going to happen. So I built this house at Tenamera. Wasn't the best suburb. It's in Logan. And so I built the house for 100,000, and my land was worth 50. By the time I'd completed the house and land, it was worth 240,000. So what I then did, I used the equity in my house, and I went and bought a big block of land at Maruka on 1,000 square meters. I subdivided. This is at the age of 35, and I really didn't know what I was doing. All I knew that whatever it is, if a man can do it, I can do it better, right? So then I bought the, so by the time in that time I had 3 properties. This is going back in the age of 35 in the 90s. Then between 1990 and 2000, the market was really bad. Stock market, etc. Some of you guys probably wouldn't have been born then, but we had a really bad time, and no one was buying property. So I had a bit of a rest between 92 and 2000. I moved to Sydney in 2000, and I met developers, and they were my mentors. Now, in life, it's really, really important. People come into your life for reasons, and I hung around a lot of people who were into property, and I met this developer, and he was turning this big factory into units, and I learned from him. So that was about 1999, 2000. In 2000, I could smell that the market in Brisbane was going to take off because I've been doing this for so long. So what I started doing is buying real estate. So I was still living in Sydney as a finance broker. Now, when you do real estate, it's really important that you understand finance, you understand development, you understand everything. And I think what really got me through to the next level was the fact that I understood finance, real estate, developing, everything, budgeting. I mean, as a single mum of 4, I had to budget my money. So basically, in 2001, I bought a block of units that nobody wanted. It had been on the market for 6 months. Nobody wanted this. It had vines growing through it. The agent took me through. I said, no, I want to buy a house. He said, no, I think you should buy this. I said, no, I want to buy a house. And anyway, finally, he took me in. I was so shit scared of buying that block of unit because it wasn't residential. It's a block of unit. So I bought it, and I said, okay, I'll buy it as long as you let me go in there and renovate it, and I have a 3-month settlement, unconditional. So if I back out, he gets the place. So he allowed me to do that, and I increased my rent. I think the rent was returning $600 a week at the time, and now I am getting about $2,500 a week. So I bought the block of units. Now, let's go back a little bit. So I'm a single mum. I've got 4 kids, just imagine. So if you guys out there thinking I can't do it, how am I going to do that? I'm a single mother of 4 kids, and I brought up my kids alone. There was no man, there was no husband, there was nothing, right? And I have no education. I have no degrees. I have no PhDs like the rest of my family, and I am worth more than all of them put together plus some.
Yes.
And so if you're a woman or a man, I don't care where you are, what country you come from, you can do it, believe me, because I did it. All it takes is determination, knowledge, but you really need a mentor that's been there, that's done it, that's gone through the journey to help you through, because we've all had mentors in our lives. So anyway, going through my property development. So now this block of unit that I bought was it's in Paddington. It has another block of land in the back of it. And I bought, I think, what happened, I always said to my kids, one day mum's going to own this block. And one day the lady who owns it said to me, is this Orane Swan? I said, yes. She said, God asked me to call serious, because she's a Christian.
Yeah, right.
She wanted to sell it really quick, and
Yeah.
she knew
Yeah.
that I would buy it because
Yeah.
it's backing onto my land.
Yeah, sure.
So I bought it. So now I own the whole block at Paddington, which now I have subdivided, and I have a duplex in the back. And so I've got 4 units, a duplex, and another house. And my rental income has gone from, when I first started, 16,000 to now $650,000 a year. Now, I got a little bit lazy. This is my first day back at work today, like literally. I have been not working, and seriously, since 2007. I have not sold a house. I have not done anything. I suppose I made a lot of money quickly. I was a single mother one day, and the next year or two, I had made millions. And so my goal with my life is to actually increase my rental income.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a different strategy. I want to leave my assets behind to my children and my grandchildren. They're not going to own it. I'm going to put it in a trust, and they'll get the money every month, and then it'll get passed down. To be truly rich, you don't sell your assets. You pass it down to the next generation. And what I wanted to do is break that poverty mentality from being born in a third world country. Yeah, so basically now my best investment that I bought was my block of units. My second best investment that I bought, I own a mall. He's fixed the doors there.
That's amazing.
And it's my best. I love that place because it actually stops me from working. I'm financially independent and have been since I bought that in 2005. And believe it or not, I paid $980,000.
Just tell us about more first.
Okay,
What is it?
the
What
mall
it?
is 7 kilometers from Moorooka. It has 16 shops.
Yeah.
At the time that I bought it, it was dilapidated, and I was so scared of buying that. And I think real estate's like doing weights. You do 2 kilos, 10 kilos, 20 kilos. And it was the same with me, like first residential block of units and now the mall. So this mall came on, and I remembered this mall because when I did my first subdivision at Moorooka.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that mall and saying, I'd love to own that mall. This is years ago. So when it came on the market, I actually rang the guy and I said, look, I want to buy this mall, cash unconditional. And if you give me the deal, I'll let you manage my property, because I knew it was the only way I could get it, because he had 3 or 4 people interested. So anyway, with the mall, it's got 14 shops. At the time I bought it, I paid $980,000. I spent probably $150,000 renovating it. It was returning $75,000 a year rental income. My last figure as of yesterday was $420,000 net, because we've just had NAB come to us.
Yeah.
And through COVID, I gave them a little discount. And because my clients are niche, because they're Africans and they have the same people coming to buy from them.
Yeah.
So I suppose you could say that I'm making probably 33% yield on that property. We've just had it valued. The bank, I'm at the bank yesterday, so I bought it for $1 million. It's now worth $7 million. So, and I think Dr. Ali offered me some money off without even seeing it. So yeah, so that was my fantastic investment. And I have to tell you, when I bought that, I was so scared. I was worried. you know, like it's a big commitment, but I read Robert Kawasaki writing that you need debt to make more money. And I love debt.
Yeah.
People tell me, oh my God, Orane, you've got so much debt. What are you going to do? And I don't really care, because if I hadn't had the debt and bought that place, it wouldn't be worth that much. Now, that mall is also a development site. And right now I could smash a little piece in the back and build 15 units, but it's returning so much money and it gives me total financial freedom because I don't need to go to work. But now I want to go back to work because I'm going to ride this second wave. And I want to make $1 million this financial year, and that's my goal. So apart from that, I have bought blocks of land and put DAs on them. I have one at Caboolture. I had one on the waterfront at Scarborough. I bought the land and we put a DA on it, and I own my own commercial property. And so that's it. So the moral to the story is that it's too long a story to go through all this stuff, but I've gone through a lot of pain. I've gone through the GFC where National Bank came to me and said, Orane, Swan, we don't want your business anymore. And if I wasn't a finance broker, if I didn't know people, if I didn't have contacts, they literally said to me, we don't want you, go away. And I had to refinance every single property. And one thing I will say, I used to cross-collateralize everything. So I had NAB and they owned me, but they also gave me a lot of money because they had all my assets. But now that I've actually gone to 3-4 different banks, they don't own me anymore. And all they yesterday, they're begging me to come back to them, which I'm not going to. So the moral of the story is I love property. It's my life. If I didn't have property, going through all the struggles of bringing up 4 kids, I think I would have necked myself. But because I loved property that much, you know, Raj works with me, and all I do is I increase my assets all the time. While I'm sleeping, I've been renovating the last few days. I've got the block of units. I'm sanding the floor. I want to increase all my rental income. And the other thing I'm doing, I've gone to Airbnb, which isn't doing very well right now, but I made $67,000 for 6 months on a property that usually returns me $43,000. So that's how I feel I'm going to increase my rental income, because I'm getting ready, because I think short-term accommodation, once the borders open, is going to go through the roof. I've been doing some webinars. So my goal is to double and triple my rental income. So I'm all about rental income, but I'm also about capital growth, because all my properties are in what do you call that? Gold chip, what is it?
Well, blue chip investments.
Blue chip investments, because I'm in Paddington, Milton, and I've got a beautiful home in Barden, which I bought for $400,000. That is now probably worth 1.850, but 2 years ago, before I did my bathroom and a few other things, it was only worth 1.550. So in about a year, it's gone up about 300,000. So if you buy in the right area, I've got a block at Caboolture, which is not, you know, hasn't been a very good story for me. It's a development site, but it's best to buy in the good area. However, I will have to say that the way the property market's going at the moment, it doesn't matter where you buy, whether you buy Logan or Ipswich or whatever, but you do get a better return in a city. And I find that having inner city tenants, I get better tenants who pay me more money. Like I've just moved out of my house and I'm renting my upstairs only for $1,550, while I'll go and sit in my little 1-bedroom unit, so I can spend more time at my office, because my goal is to make $1 million this year. So that's it, over and out. Anything else?
Truly inspirational story. Okay, so before we make any comments, any question for Orane about anything at all? Any stories, any comments? From anyone? No, maybe I can prompt. I can prompt Orane. So Orane, you've done everything. I mean, you've done DAs, you've got commercial properties, subdivisions. What's your strategies, finance? Is it always to draw the equity out and buy another property?
Well, no. At the beginning, all I did was say I had the block of land. So it was worth 400 when I bought it.
Yeah.
I did it up. Within 6 months, it was worth 600 because this was in 2000. So I used the equity and I bought garden. So I never used my money. It was always using my property all the time.
Yeah.
But then you get to a stage where you can't do that anymore. The bank, you're like, I've got enough properties. They won't lend you any money.
The right spots.
Yeah.
Like you knew that it's in 10 years' time, it's only going to be worth,
But I've sold a lot along the way because I'm a bit not lazy, but I don't want to work. I want my own time. So I used to buy another property, sell it, and say I'd make 300 grand. I'd put that in the bank and I'd live on it for whatever. When that ran out, I'd sell another one. I'd sell another one and I'd sell another one. So I've already sold about 6 already throughout my life. So that's how I managed to have the lifestyle, and do what I want. So the goal of life is not to get up every day and go to work. The goal of life is to create life so you're getting money coming in, but you don't have to work for it. Yeah, a passive income is it. Look, it didn't happen overnight. It took a long time, a lot of stress, a lot of, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to pay this, borrowing from one credit card to pay the other. And you are going to go through that. That's okay. You need to go through all that teething problems. And then now I can look back at everything I went through I'm scot-free. I'm financially independent, you could say, and I don't have to worry about depending on social security and people, So I think, I don't know how old people are, whether you're 30, 40, 50, you've really got to think about your retirement, because I planned for tomorrow, yesterday, and that yesterday is now today, because I'm retirement age. And man, it goes that fast, you won't know what's hit you. You think you've got 30 years or 20 years and you just look back and go, where's it all gone? So you need, if you haven't started, to strategize, work out ways of, making money. And I can't recommend property enough. So I'm back now. So I want to sell something so I've got some money. I can go and buy other things and do more things. Yeah.
Perfect. Any questions? So what's your goal like in the future in terms of investment? What do you want to buy? Do you want to buy a house and land subdivisions? Or
I want to personally, buy land in somewhere nice and create a space so people can go there when they've got mental health issues or they need a rest or they need a break. I want to do more philanthropic work. But I mean, I'm going to charge them, of course, but it's not going to be like $10,000 a person. Do you know what I mean? But I really want to buy land up on Mount Tambourine or Nimbin or wherever, and create. But as far as making money, I don't want to be a mid-billionaire. I've got enough to last me, and I want to have lifestyle. So, but I do want to. If I see a block of land that I can subdivide into 50 lots, I'm going to be doing joint ventures. I'm really big on using OPM.
Yeah.
I have friends, lawyers, people I know, they say to me, you go find it, I'll give you the money. And that's what I'll be doing. I won't be using my own money. I don't want to put myself at risk. I'm too old. So yeah, and all of my stuff's in trust, except for a few. So you protect yourself, and but right now I'm telling you, I've been through this in 2001. That's when I went from nothing to 3 million overnight. Like, we're talking overnight, meaning a year or two, and because I could smell it, and it's happening again, and hence the reason why this is the best time, if you're going to make money in real estate, to do it now, because we don't you can't say it's going to last forever because it never does. I've been through the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 2000. Do you know what I mean? So I am so experienced at this. I have been through all the different areas, and I've got a list of properties that I've bought for 25, and I can tell you how much I sold it for. And if you see the growth, it's just phenomenal.
How did you cope with not the last recession, but the one before that? The interest rates must have been so high.
Oh, the interest rates were so high.
How'd you do it?
I sold a house so that I could have the money in the bank, and that got me through.
Like 18% or more.
Yeah, they were 8%.
Higher.
8 to 9, yeah. There's been times that if I showed you my tax return, it just shows loss, 250,000 for the year. But you can't get attached to that. It's just a number. Don't get attached to anything. And what you do is you just got to work through it, because it's only really paper money until you sell it. Everything, like recently I sold my prized possession because my ex wanted to sell it in 2018. We held it for 10 years, made no money, none whatsoever, not 5 cents. It was 1,000 square meters on the waterfront at Scarborough, and I sold it in 2018. And now, if I'd sold it now, I would probably make 2 million more. And I've been grieving about it, but you can't do that, because then everybody would be grieving about they sold their house, their grandmother's house in Snellwood. But I made a mistake. I sold it. I don't know what I was thinking, but you know, I've made a lot of these mistakes, but I had to sell it because it was too much for me to carry all these. I had a $1.7 million loan on that, and the rental wasn't covering it. And then with the development costs, and then Scarborough, Redcliffe didn't go up for a long time, but I could see that it was going to, and we just lost faith, because we had a 207 to 2018 made nothing. So anyway, you have some good luck and bad luck, and so you just got to I showed you something. The problem with me when I start selling real estate, I look at what I showed you this morning, and I'm going, I want to buy it. I want to buy it, because I can see I can see the potential in it. I can see how I can turn that and make it more. So when you buy something for yourself, always don't just buy a little low set. Well, I don't believe in that. Buy something that you can really add value, because Raj has seen a lot of my properties. Every one of my properties has got dual living. I've got I bought a place at Margate across the road from the beach for 350,000. My return is 820 a week. And it pays for itself. Why? Because I just put a door in between the front and the back, put a little kitchen in the back, and I've been renting the back to someone. And the front. So yeah,
I agree with some people like me visually. I learn from all my mistakes in life. One of those that get told, don't do this, Raj, and I'll go do the opposite. But I learn from making that. You know, I'm just one of those that's
So I have to agree with that, because I don't really talk about my investment strategies, but I have to. I love boarding houses. I love rooming. I love duplexes. I love renting flats.
yeah,
And because you get multiple income,
correct.
plus the capital appreciation in the future.
Yeah.
Perfect. Any questions or comments from anyone? We'll probably have to start picking people.
Yeah. I want to jump in, Chris.
Go for it.
So I like everything that you've said. Like you've pretty much smashed it. Like I'm in shock, but
we're all in shock, Chris.
So am I.
We're on the floor.
The one thing that you pulled out was like you've got the ability just to see the vision in properties and in areas. Do you have something that plays on in the back of your head as to like why you think that area will improve? And then so go for it.
Well, don't forget, I bought my properties before, like years ago, and then I had to stop because you can't keep borrowing. The bank won't keep lending, especially I'm a single person. I bought the first one at Tenamira near a power line, and I noticed that house, if I built the same house, it's 400 square meters. If I built that in Paddington, it would probably be worth 3 million now. But because I bought it in Tenamira, it's worth 800,000. So I decided when I left Tenamera and I wanted to make money, because I remember coming home one day saying to my kids, it's about me now. I've been looking after you too long. I said, I'm going to go and make money now. So I bought in the blue chip areas like the Paddington, Milton, Barden, and Moorooka. But the thing is, the difference now is that I really believe that Brisbane has changed. I've been waiting for Brisbane to do this. 10 years ago, it should have been doing this, but it didn't, because we had the floods, we had the GFC, we had all sorts of stuff. So now, 10 years ago, I had a plan years ago that 10 years I was going to retire and have all these millions in the bank, but it didn't happen because it didn't work out the way I wanted it to work. But right now, I'm telling you, I have seen people who've bought places in not Eagleby, Beenleigh. They bought a place like 2 years ago. They've already made 200 grand. And so it doesn't really matter where you buy right now, because I know my sister lives at Harvey Bay. She had a block of land for sale for a year. I didn't even want it. But now it was a subdividable block on a half an acre. She sold that for $285. So what I'm saying is right now, it doesn't matter whether you buy Harvey Bay, you buy Ipswich, you buy Logan, you buy wherever, it's going to go. Because, I mean, I'm a little bit psychic and I am a visionary, and I can see what's going to happen to Brisbane. I used to speak about what was going to happen years ago. I used to do that. And you think about it, look what's happening. We've got the games coming.
Yes.
We've got all these people, unfortunately, from Melbourne, bringing their germs here, but I like it. It's fine. No, I'm saying there's a lot of people from Melbourne moving here. Every second person I speak to on Airbnb that I do, they're all from Melbourne. They're from Sydney. They're selling all their houses. They're going to the Gold Coast. The rentals at the Gold Coast, 2 years ago, I could have rented a nice little apartment for me on the water for 500. The same apartment now is renting for 800, 850. It's ridiculous what's happening everywhere. So if you find a good buy, which is what I'm going to go and do now, I'm going to go looking for the buy. I'm going to go looking for the old people that are dying or they're moving out and they got no kids. That's what you need to look for, because that's what I used to do 10, 15 years ago. I used to look for properties that, a little old lady is going to go. And I'm not talking about dying. She's going to leave.
Sure.
And that's going to be me one day too.
Yeah. Come on in.
Yeah. So anyway, I think right now, buy anywhere within reason. Even next to a power line, people aren't even looking at that right now. They're just buying.
No, you're right, because the view you've got is just absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
To do that,
Yeah. So yeah, I hope that helped.
Yeah, it does. The other thing I just wanted to ask, if I can, was just basically like I'm seeing a lot of reports online saying that the markets are about to be flooded once all these restrictions stop, with people wanting to sell that haven't, a lot of vendors that have wanted to sell but haven't been, they've been too scared to jump onto the market now to sell. So the reports are saying like housing prices might drop a bit because of that. Do you have any advice there?
Well, put it this way. People have been saying this to me for so many years now. Sell, the market's going to drop. I'm going to tell you something, and I know because the market is not going to fall. If it's going to fall, it'll fall in Melbourne, it'll fall in Sydney. We are going to have so many people moving here. It's all about real estate. It's all about supply and demand. When I didn't make money in real estate, there was no demand. Now there's heaps of demand, right? So don't listen to gossip. Don't listen to people saying, oh, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. Don't do this, don't do that. I've had it all my life. Just go by your gut. But I'm telling you, I mean, I can't really advise because I don't want to get sued here, but I'm telling you that I understand real estate probably better than most people because I've gone through so many cycles, and I just didn't start buying 10 years ago and I didn't read a book. I did Everything I have done, subdividing my land. Well, Raj works with me sometimes. He knows I love doing that. That's when I'm in my element, when I'm renovating, developing, when I'm doing stuff to increase the value. So right now is the time to get into real estate, because if you don't, you're going to miss the boat.
And it also, you're right, it also comes down to the vendor as well. I mean, like you were saying with your investments, the things you've done in the past, they may say, oh, now's not a right time, which is absolute BS, my language. Because if it was you and you were selling your property at a good price, what's the next thing you're going to go do? Go and buy 2 lots of house and land, create more of an investment instead of just concentrating on the one house.
Yeah.
So I don't know why these agents are turning around and saying, oh, it's a good time.
It's
It's not a good
not-
time. It's always a good time when there's so much land lots that are going to be available in Queensland. You know?
Now, look, it's not going, look, I used to think that sometimes, like, look, the real reason I haven't bought anything since 2009, 10, 11, 12, we haven't really had big booms, right? And I've just been staying low because I own a lot of properties anyway. But the last 15 months has been ridiculous because my son would go to auctions and he couldn't get anything. Finally, I had to go and find him something, and I bought off market and saved him 100 grand. But the thing is, the market is not going to stop. If it's going to, it's probably going to correct, and it's not going to be going crazy where you're going to have 5, 6, people putting offers in. And I do think it's a bit crazy right now. It's too, I don't know what it's like right now as we speak, but it was so hot because I've been looking for my son that he would always come back depressed because he didn't get something that would be worth 800 would go for 1,050,000 at the gap. It's unheard of. The house that he could have bought in Milton in Young Street 12 months ago for 830, that same house is valued at 1.2 million in Milton, in my street. So what I'm saying is that, okay, I really personally, because I come from Sydney as well, I really don't think our prices are really expensive here, and you don't know what expensive is until you go to Sydney. And like my house is worth probably 1.8, but if my house was in
3.5 in Sydney, probably.
no, about 3.5,
That's what I said,
5
Sydney.
Ks from town, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So we haven't caught up, and not that we're going to, because we're not Sydney, but watch this space. 15 years ago, I used to say that Brisbane is going to be number 2. It's going to be Sydney, then Brisbane, then Melbourne, and it's going to happen. And I can feel it. So I hope I helped.
There's a few people from Melbourne online at the moment.
Oh,
It's all
sorry.
good.
I'm from
Melbourne
Sydney. It's
90s.
okay.
It's okay. It's all good. It's all
Just
good.
joking.
No,
We
we're-
want
we're-
you guys here.
Come to Queensland if you need finance.
I guess everywhere is booming at the moment. If you look at the stats, it's crazy at the moment. Regional, but there is a graph I saw recently on net migration. That's an important factor as
Where's
well.
that?
Right. Is it?
Well, I'll just bring it up.
Really?
Net migration.
Past 12 months, 18.
Yeah, but so anyone had any questions? Otherwise,
We've been closed, the borders.
yeah, but there was
But they were
this
looking for
graph
up to
I
10.
saw on their migration between states, and it shows like people are moving out of the cities into the regional areas and stuff.
Oh,
like that.
yeah, that's
When
right.
you have a
Yeah,
family and all
yeah.
that, it's nice
Yeah.
to have a bit of a yard.
A lot of the young people now,
Yes.
there's a
Yeah.
trend, like I've got 35-year-old, and they want to go and live, on land and grow their food and just get off the grid. And you've got all these
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
type of people that normally would live in Paddington that don't want to live in the city anymore.
Yeah.
But that's why even buying regional is good. I would never buy regional before, ever. You'd give me a house in Mackay, or I would never say no.
It's hard to
but-
get finance in regional areas too.
Yeah.
I think the limit is 10,000 people for finance. If it's smaller than 10,000, then the banks will really look at that more carefully, because obviously there's less demand.
So you're talking about like
Yeah.
the states are like 3,500 lots. Or
Suburbs
6,000, anything that's 10,000.
suburbs less
Okay.
than 10,000 people.
Okay.
Any other questions? Otherwise, I'm gonna ask a question. So Orane, you're a developer. I mean, Jesus, I don't know how many people in our Oxbridge team want to be developers. They want to subdivide. They want to, you're building stuff, for God's sake.
Well,
How did you, single mom, 4 kids, taking risks, subdivide? How did you do it, man? Tell
well,
us.
subdivision, my first subdivision I did when I bought a big block of land in Maruka, that was in 1990 for 60,000. No, was it 90,000? It was. And I don't know where I got all this from, but it just came to me. And I thought, oh, I'm going to cut this up. And I didn't know what I was doing. And I got I really made a lot of mistakes. I tell you, I should write a book about all the mistakes I've made in my life with real estate, because it was so many, it's not funny. And I don't know how I'm still standing, because I was a bit stubborn and I didn't want a man to help me if I had a partner in my life at that time, because I wanted to do it. I wanted to take credit for what I did, a woman, right? Developing, put it this way, when I was living in Mauritius, I don't know if anybody knows where, it's a little island on the southeast coast of Africa. It's a third world country. My father used to, I remembered he used to cut up land. So it might subconsciously, it might have stuck in my head, because I remember we lived in the back and he bought a block and he cut it up and sold it to the people in the front. I think they do that a lot there. But with regards to developing, I got a DA. I've got two DAs. One is for 45 units in Caboolture, and the other one was for 18 units on the waterfront at Scarborough. So what I would do, I would walk on this land, and before I knew it, I'd say to the real estate agent, I want it, give me the contract, because I've got this ability, I don't know what it is, but I can just stand there on a block of land and know what I can do with it. And that's what happened this morning when we went to that place. I wasn't looking at the boarding house. I want to see what I can do with the back. And then what I did, I had a block of land at Paddington, just in the back. It was 809 square meters. Everybody was against me developing that because it had water problems. Every single builder would say, don't do it, Orane, don't do it, it's a bit flooded. And you know what? I said, I don't care, I'm doing it. But it gave me a breakdown, because it took 3 years to complete. We had to build over sewer, build over stormwater, build over all these things. But now, this house that I have a place in the front, it's a house. So I used to earn about $500 rent from that. Now it's gone up to $710 for the front. The middle one, I'm doing Airbnb, and I'm getting probably about, well, I got $67,000 for 6 months. It's beautiful. It's 4-bedroom. It's perfect position, close to Suncorp. And then the other one, well, the way I did that development, I used other people's money. So what I did, I went to a girlfriend of mine and I said, you got any money? She said, yep, 500 grand. I said, give it to me. So I took it. I built the duplex, and then she ended up getting the other duplex, but it ended up costing her $700,000 for the duplex. Now I've just had the other duplex valued. It's worth $1.2 million. It was worth, she sold hers in 2018. She sold hers probably 3 years ago for $735,000. And I've just had Ray White, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's gone up another 400,000, but it's the rental income that's good about it. And so I don't like just buying a house. That's like my ex used to say, just buy a low set brick. You don't have to do anything and just walk away. But I don't want to do that. I want to buy an old shit box and polish the floor and do it and extend it and turn it into granny flat, etc. But that part of my life is over now. Yeah, so is that, what's his name?
Chris.
No, the guy down the bottom there.
Oh, sure.
I know, I just thought, yeah. I hope I answered your question, but yeah, developing is not hard. Because once you get a block of land, and I'd ring the council, in the old days, I used to do it the old way. But now it's a lot more simple, because you just can go on maps and blah, blah, blah. But I used to sit, I'd have a meeting with a guy from the council. We'd sit there. I had my mentor who died a couple of years ago, and that's when I died, I reckon, because he was just he was an architect, a town planner, everything. So I would find a block of land, Alex, block of land, address, what can we do? And we work together really, really well. And so you need to work as a team on this. You can't do all this on your own. I used to think that I could, and I did it the hard way. And now I've learned to do it the smart way. That's why I've got Mr. Raj with me, because I'm not very computer literate.
Right,
So-
definitely. He's smart too. He's smart too. Okay. Any other questions for anyone?
Oh, Chris is saying around we should do a JV.
I've already got I've got a block of land for sale if anybody wants a listing.
Great.
The one at
Great
Caboolture,
opportunity.
the one at
Great
Caboolture.
opportunity. But that's it. No money down. Perfect. No, we also do some of that stuff as well. You know, use other people's money to develop it. You
Always use other people's money.
Thanks.
Don't use your own money ever.
Yeah.
Or get a like with me, because I'm very good at what I do. People trust me, so they will come and say, "Orane, can you find something?" And when you do, can I come in on it? And this is where I'm at the moment. Like today is like, I'm sorry if I'm a bit like I haven't been working for so long.
Yeah, she got dressed up. and
Actually,
she got
yeah,
hair
because
today.
normally I don't. It's really hard for me to get out of bed. I don't get out of
Just put
bed
the
till
trackies in the trolley and we'll go. We'll you just
we go to
well,
Bunnings, and I love my life because my life is property. I love property. My kids used to say, "You love those properties more than me," and people will tell you, "Do not get emotionally involved with property." Well, I disagree with that, because Raj knows all my properties, they're like my children. I suppose I've owned them for 20 years. I've spent so much of my blood, sweat and tears, and I've made it so when I do die, nobody can sell it either. So the legacy lives on. So that's it.
Okay, perfect. So that was phenomenal. Okay, so we got Heidi and Orane. I think a few takeaways. Property is great. Number one, sit on it. Like Heidi, young, ambitious, got in early, $200,000 of equity at the age of 20. That's most money that anyone can earn. You know, I have people that come for jobs all the time, and I don't mind people getting jobs because you need to, you know, get a job and get paid. But I think eventually you need to be someone like Heidi, right? 100%. Don't live on the day-to-day income. Don't beg for listings. Put the money into property and let it grow. That's the first takeaway, I think, today, right?
And don't buy coffees and takeaways. Takes up your money.
We're not that stingy. We love our coffee.
Excuse to socialize.
We love coffee club. We get 50% of our coffee clubs. So
No, but if you think about it, if you're young, you want to buy
Yeah,
sure,
property.
sure. No,
It's so important.
Every cent.
The budgeting is so important. People
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
understand that.
you get it.
Yeah.
I
He's
guess
teaching you that.
I guess the second takeaway today is leverage, right? No finance. And I've said this many times. Agents are not just agents. You need to know the finance part. And I don't know how many people, I think 50, 60 people now
Thank you.
have both a finance and a real estate qualification. And the finance is so important. Leveraging other people's money to make a better return, right? 100%. I guess what I want to do now is next Tuesday, I'm going to run that session as promised. We've got so many projects. So watch out for the message. And then I think we just have to find some way to fairly and equitably distribute those projects, because these projects are great commission. We've all signed in with the developer. I just need to find a way so everyone can work together and get paid, because we've sold a lot of projects recently. A lot of people in the company has made a lot of money, but obviously, you know, we have to find some way to allocate these projects to different people in a fairer way, I think, right? Any other questions, comments, anyone, criticisms? Hey, well done. Like today's session, that's okay too, man. We're not perfect.
All
as I
right.
said. That's all good,
Real
man.
estate.
skin.
Real estate.
We're trying to improve ourselves. We're definitely not a perfect company or we're perfect people or whatever, but we do try. Yeah, unless there's anything else, no comments, questions, but this has been recorded as well, so we'll be in the resource pages very soon. But we've got quite a few other things happening next week, you know, a few training sessions, a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, but that's it. But thank you for attending today, and we'll Any questions from here to the audience? I didn't even ask the audience today. Any questions? No? Oh, good. So yeah, so that's it. So we will see you guys a bit later on. Thanks for attending, guys. See you later. Bye.